Okay, so now let's see what the last example says. Right, we have to determine how much does Thabo need to invest in a pension fund if he wants to make regular yearly withdrawals of 5,000 Rand for the next 4 years. The fund earns interest at 4.8% compounded annually. Right. Okay, so what we have over here is also an annuity, right? And I say it's an annuity because we are going to be making regular withdrawals, okay, right? And this will happen for a period of 4 years, and our pension fund earns interest at 4.8% compounded annually, right? So we can still think about this situation on a number line, right? Just with this situation, you just have to be a little bit smarter and think both backwards and forwards, right? So notice that the question is asking you, how much does Thabo need to invest into a pension fund, right? So what Thabo is going to do is he's going to approach a financial institution, right? And he's going to open a pension fund, right? And he's going to deposit a certain amount of money today into that pension fund. Okay, it's obviously going to be a large amount of money. Okay, and then what he's expecting the pension fund to be able to do is that at the end of each year, right, for the next 4 years, he wants to be able to withdraw 5,000 Rand from that account, right? So what we now need to do is we need to very unusually calculate how much does he need to invest, right? So the money that he needs to put in over here at T0. Okay. Okay, so we can set up our number line as follows, right? Okay, so now if we think of each of these 5,000 rands, right, in a backward sense, right? So if you think back into time, right? Okay, so this 5,000 rand that he's going to withdraw is something that he's going to do in the future. Okay, all right, so we now need to go back in time and come back to the present time. All right, and we need to now think about the fact that this money that he wants to withdraw, right, at this time T1, okay, it must have accumulated up to this point of 5,000 rand. Okay, so basically what you need to think about is the fact that at the end of the first year, right, the money, right, must have accumulated. Okay, so it's sort of like the interest, right, must have accumulated to such a point that it makes 5,000 rand that he can withdraw out. Okay, so now if you go back into our compound interest formula, right, we know that the amount accumulated is equals to your principal value times 1 plus your interest, right, to the exponent of your compounding period, right? Now, we want, or we know, right, that we need to accumulate to a certain amount, right? We want to know if this was an investment, okay, how much would you have to put in, right, into the account. Okay, so you can see that if you solve this equation for P, right, then you have that the amount that you need to accumulate to, you need to divide it by 1 plus I to the exponent of n. Okay, so we can do that for each and every one of these 5,000 rands. So for this first 5,000 rand, right, you're going to have 5,000 divided by 1 plus 0.048, okay, and it has a compounding period of just 1, okay, so 1. N is equals to 1 for this 5,000 rand. Okay, right, so now let's move on to the next one. Okay, when we look at this one, right, if we take it back to the present time, okay, then you have 5,000, right, divided by 1 plus 0.048 to the exponent of 2 compound periods, right? So 1, 2. Okay, third one. Okay, and then lastly, right, so now you can see that all of these amounts, right, if you had to evaluate them, they are basically just a value of P, right? So this value of P, if you think of it in the forward sense, right, it's a matter of, it goes back to the first example, whatever this value of P, if you had it in your hand, right, and you invest it for 1 year, at the end of 1 year, you would have 5,000 Rand, okay? And this second value of P, right, if you invest it for 2 years, okay, you would, at the end of 2 years, right, have 5,000 Rand in your account, right? Same thing for this green one and for this blue one, right? So all of these fractions basically accumulate up, right, to 5,000 Rand, okay, which is these 5,000 Rands that have to be in the account, right, so that it's possible for him to withdraw it, okay? Right, so we're going to add up all of these fractions. So it's that one, plus this one, plus that one, plus that one. Okay, so if you add up all of these fractions, right, you will get that Thabo needs to invest 17,812 Rand and 43 cents, right, today in order to be able to do regular withdrawals of 5,000 Rand for the next 4 years. Okay. With these type of problems where you are talking about withdrawals, sometimes people find it very hard to go directly into just substituting into the present value formula, because the way that we are most comfortable using the present value formula is when we are doing loan repayments, right? So now in this type of situation where you actually have an investment that is paying out money, right? Some people find it very hard, right, to grasp what to substitute where, okay? So if you find it hard, okay, to do that, right, you can think about it using this first method, right, that I showed you over here, okay? So this method of thinking about the withdrawals that are going to happen, right, and if you had to then go backwards, right, and think of the principal amount that you would have to deposit into an account, right, and invest for a certain period, right, to get to that 5,000 Rand, right. You may be thinking about it that way, can help you out as well. Okay, so then if you just go straight for the present value formula, right, remember that the present value formula says that you're going to have an X amount of regular payments, right. In this case, it's a matter of regular withdrawals, and that's a value of 5,000 Rand. Okay, times 1 minus 1 plus your interest rate, okay, which is 0.048, okay, to the exponent of negative n, right, where n represents the number of payments, right, that you would make if this was a loan, right, but because this is a pension fund, right, that you are withdrawing out of, right, it represents the number of withdrawals that you've made, which is a total of 4 in this case. Okay, right, and that will be divided by your interest. Okay, so 0.048. Right, so if you plug this expression into the calculator, you get that the present value works out to 17,812 Rand and 43 cents. Okay, so 17,812 Rand and 43 cents. Right, so if you can remember, we started off with somebody who had this amount of 17,812 Rand and 43 cents, right? And this person just threw this money into a savings account, right? And it earned interest over 4 compounding periods, right? And at the end of those 4 years, he was able to generate to 21,486. And then we went over to the person who did not have this amount of money, right, this large amount of money, and could only afford, right, to deposit at the end of each year for 4 years, right, an amount of 5,000 Rand, okay, and they were able to still accumulate up to 21,486. Okay, and now what we're saying is that if somebody puts in a lump sum of 17,812 Rand and 43 cents into a pension fund, right, then that person is going to be able to make regular yearly withdrawals, right, of 5,000 Rand for the next 4 years. Okay,